We were all taught a clear story in history, that ancient humans were simple, that advanced knowledge came slowly, and that civilization followed a predictable path. But scattered across the world are discoveries that completely break that story. Objects so advanced, structures so old, and knowledge so precise that even modern scientists struggle to explain how they were possible. Today we're exploring 5 ancient discoveries that should not exist, but do. And once you see them, you may never look at human history the same way again. Göbekli Tepe. In southeastern Turkey stands a site that has forced historians to rewrite the timeline of civilization. Its name is Göbekli Tepe. Discovered in the 1990s, this massive stone complex is over 12,000 years old, built around 10,000 BCE. That makes it older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, and older than agriculture itself. The site contains towering limestone pillars, some weighing up to 20 tons, carved with detailed images of animals, foxes, snakes, birds, and wild boars. Our journey begins at Göbekli Tepe, a name that translates to Potbelly Hill in Turkish. But what lies beneath this unassuming mound rewrites the very first chapter of human history. What makes Göbekli Tepe so staggering is not just its immense age, a mind-bending 12,000 years old, predating Stonehenge by 6,000 years, but the identity of its creators. According to the long-accepted timeline of civilization, the people of this era were supposed to be simple, nomadic hunter-gatherers, living in small bands, constantly on the move. They hadn't yet invented pottery, writing, or even the wheel. Yet here, they erected the world's first known temple. This wasn't a simple hut. It was a complex of massive stone circles, built with pillars weighing up to 50 tons. Quarrying, transporting, and raising these monoliths would have required hundreds of workers, advanced social organization, and a shared, powerful purpose. Even more mysterious, after 1,000 years of use, the entire site was deliberately and painstakingly buried under tons of earth, as if its creators were putting it to sleep. Why? Some theories suggest it was to protect the site from some unknown threat, while others propose it was a ritual act, a ceremonial burial of a world that was passing away as the age of agriculture dawned. This act of preservation is why it remained hidden until its discovery in the 1990s. The conventional wisdom was that agriculture led to settlements, which then allowed for complex religion and culture. Göbekli Tepe flips that script entirely. It suggests that the need to gather for shared ritual, religion, was the catalyst that sparked civilization itself. From the dawn of civilization, we jump forward thousands of years to the height of the ancient Greek world. In 1901, sponge divers exploring a Roman-era shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera made a discovery that would baffle scientists for a century. At first, it looked like a worthless lump of corroded bronze and wood. But as the layers of calcification were carefully removed, a stunningly complex object emerged, the Antikythera Mechanism. Dating back to around 100 BCE, this device contains over 30 precision-cut bronze gears, some with teeth barely a millimeter long, all fitting together in a sophisticated system that simply should not have existed in antiquity. For decades, its true purpose was a complete mystery. But through the use of advanced X-ray tomography and 3D imaging, researchers were finally able to peer inside and read the faint inscriptions covering its surfaces. They discovered it was an astronomical calculator of breathtaking genius, the world's first analog computer. By turning a single crank, the user could track the positions of the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets known at the time. It could predict solar and lunar eclipses with remarkable accuracy, and even followed a 4-year cycle to indicate the timing of the Pan-Hellenic Games, including the Olympics. The sheer mechanical sophistication of the Antikythera Mechanism is something that wouldn't be seen again in Europe for over 1,500 years, with the advent of complex astronomical clocks in the late Middle Ages. It forces us to ask, what other knowledge was lost in the ashes of the ancient world? Our next artifact challenges the very timeline of technological innovation. It's known as the Baghdad Battery. In the 1930s, during excavations in a village near Baghdad, Iraq, a peculiar object was unearthed. At first, it seemed like just another piece of ancient pottery, but its unique construction hinted at something far more advanced. The artifact consisted of a terracotta jar, about 5 inches tall. Inside, a cylinder of sheet copper was held in place by an asphalt plug. Suspended in the center of the copper cylinder, but not touching it, was an iron rod, also sealed with asphalt. Dating back to the Parthian period, nearly 2,000 years ago, the object's design is strikingly similar to a modern galvanic cell or a primitive battery. The theory is simple. If the jar were filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or grape juice, substances readily available at the time, it would create an electrolyte. The chemical reaction between the copper and iron would then generate a small but steady electrical current. When modern replicas were built and tested, they successfully produced a voltage, typically between 0.5 and 2 volts. This raised a shocking question. Did ancient civilizations understand and harness electricity 2 millennia before Alessandro Volta invented the modern battery? If it was a battery, what was it used for? Some researchers believe it may have been used for electroplating, a process of coating one metal with another, like gilding silver with gold. Others suggest a medical application, perhaps a form of electroacupuncture. A third theory points to religious rituals, where priests might have used the tingling sensation from the device to awe followers and demonstrate divine power. However, many mainstream archaeologists remain skeptical. They argue that the voltage produced is too weak for practical electroplating and that there is no other archaeological evidence, no wires, no connected devices to support the battery theory. The prevailing counterargument is that these jars were simply for storing sacred scrolls, with the inner cylinder and rod acting as a protective frame that has since degraded. What makes it so unsettling is this: there is no accepted historical record of electricity being used at this time. And yet, the design works. From a mysterious power source, we turn to a mysterious source of knowledge, the Piri Reis Map. In 1513, the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis compiled a stunningly detailed world map. Drawn on gazelle skin, it was a masterpiece of its time, showing parts of Europe, North Africa, and the coast of Brazil. At first glance, it looks like a beautiful, if somewhat incomplete, 16th century chart. But when researchers studied it more closely in the 20th century, they noticed something that seemed utterly impossible. The southern portion of the map depicts a landmass that strongly resembles the coast of Antarctica. The problem? Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, over 300 years after the map was made. Even more baffling, the map appears to show this coastline without its ice cap, which has covered the continent for millions of years. How could this be? Piri Reis himself provided a clue in his extensive notes on the map. He wrote that he didn't create it from his own explorations, but compiled it from about 20 different source maps. Some of these, he claimed, were ancient, dating back to the time of Alexander the Great or even earlier. This suggests he had access to a library of knowledge from a much older, forgotten civilization. Proponents of this theory point out that the coastline shown on the map closely matches modern seismic surveys of Antarctica's landmass hidden beneath the ice. Skeptics, however, argue that the landmass is more likely a fanciful or mistaken depiction of the South American coastline, bent eastward to fit on the parchment. They contend that the resemblance to Antarctica is a coincidence, a classic case of seeing patterns where none exist. But the accuracy of other parts of the map is undeniable. The mystery is clear. Who mapped the Earth with such precision long before modern exploration, and what other knowledge did they possess? Our final stop takes us to the heart of China and to a discovery that redefines the meaning of ancient ambition: the Terracotta Army. In 1974, a group of farmers in Shanxi province were simply trying to dig a well. What they stumbled upon instead was one of the most breathtaking archaeological finds in human history. Buried for over 2 millennia, an entire army of silent, life-sized soldiers stood guard. We're not talking about a handful of statues. We're talking about an estimated force of over 8,000 warriors, 130 chariots with 520 horses, and 150 cavalry horses. And the most astonishing part? No two soldiers are exactly alike. Each figure possesses a unique face, hairstyle, and expression, a ghostly portrait of an individual from a long-lost era. This subterranean legion was constructed over 2,200 years ago, a monumental project commissioned by China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. He was a ruler obsessed with immortality, and this army was meant to protect him in the afterlife. The sheer scale of the operation is almost impossible to comprehend. It's estimated that over 700,000 laborers worked for nearly 4 decades to construct not just the army, but the emperor's entire necropolis. They employed a sophisticated system of modular creation, an ancient form of assembly line production, where different workshops produced heads, limbs, and torsos that were later assembled and customized. The level of technological prowess is equally stunning. Many of the bronze weapons found with the soldiers were still sharp and gleaming, thanks to a protective chromium dioxide coating, a chromate conversion coating technology that was believed to be a 20th century invention. And yet, the army is just the tip of the iceberg. The soldiers are merely the guardians of a much larger prize, the central tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang himself, which remains sealed. Ancient texts describe a subterranean palace with ceilings depicting the heavens, floors mapping the earth, and rivers of flowing mercury mimicking China's waterways. Modern scientific surveys have confirmed abnormally high concentrations of mercury in the soil above the tomb, lending credence to these fantastic accounts. But archaeologists hesitate to open it. The moment they do, the fragile, perfectly preserved environment inside could be destroyed forever, and its secrets lost to oxidation and decay. This incredible discovery forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Our timeline of human progress is not the simple, linear ascent we were taught in school. Advanced knowledge didn't just move forward, it appeared, vanished, and sometimes re-emerged millennia later. Each of these artifacts is a chapter in a hidden history. Göbekli Tepe suggests that it was the quest for meaning and belief, not just agriculture, that sparked civilization. The Antikythera Mechanism proves that ancient engineers possessed a grasp of celestial mechanics that rivals modern understanding. The Baghdad Battery hints at a lost knowledge of electricity, a power we thought we had tamed only recently. The Piri Reis Map suggests a forgotten age of global exploration and cartographic genius. And the Terracotta Army reveals the staggering power of ancient organization, technology, and artistry on a scale that challenges the limits of our imagination. These discoveries tell us that the past was not primitive. It was complex, brilliant, and in many ways, it is simply forgotten. They are puzzle pieces from a history far grander and more mysterious than we ever conceived. So this is the real question we must ask ourselves. What else is still out there, buried beneath our feet, or submerged in the deep, just waiting for a curious mind to rediscover it? The story of humanity is still being written, and its most exciting chapters may be the ones we are just now unearthing. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden histories and profound mysteries the world should know about, then follow, like, and subscribe to Nexory. We're dedicated to bringing you more of the stories they never taught us in school. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these incredible discoveries shocked you the most?